when things blew up in their faces, you're like, oh, what are they going to do? Yo, Lord, what are they going to do? Hi wonderful people, and welcome back to my channel, Book Cribs. I'm Giselle. How are you? What's up? What is the scene? From the title, you can tell that this is going to be an age gap recommendation. This age gap is very diverse, and so it's not just the trope age gap. There are also other tropes within this one trope. I have been reading so many age gap romances. It's freaking amazing. Chemistry is there, the spice is there, the bantering is there, the sass is there, the build up to what's the main plot, they're all there. I find that some of the stories that I do gravitate to do have an age gap between the hero and the heroine, and I love that. It just creates another layer or dimension in the story. In these books that I'm going to recommend, the age gap is acknowledged between the hero and the heroine. So one of the characters in each book will have an issue with the age gap. If you want to know which books that I'm talking about, if you want to get some more insight into each of these books, keep watching my video. If it's your first time here, welcome. We talk about romance books on this channel. We discuss issues, we discuss recommendations, anything relating to romances. In the description box, I am going to list these books and the authors. So if you want to check out some reviews on these books, then you can do that. Let us get into these books. The age gap that I'm recommending that you get in your arsenal, that you go on Kindle and download because it is available on Kindle Unlimited, is Aleatory by Xavier Neal. Now the twist is the heroine, Salone, is older and the hero, Nick, is younger. Salone, she is a renowned writer, and so she's taking a break and she decides to hang out with her best friend who lives in a small town, and they have like a 20-something-year-old son, Nick. Nick meets her because he's into real estate, and he immediately is attracted to her. And he's like, you know what? I want you. And Salone is like, listen, no. First of all, you are my best friend's son. Secondly, you are too young for me, boy. That's how she sees him. And Nick goes on to prove that no, I'm not a boy. I am the man. I am the right man for you. Yo, this book was so good. This is the only one where things were left in the dark, where they weren't as open with their relationship when they could have, but it all worked out in the end. Sweet Temptation by Cora, Reilly. I love this story. In this book, there's a 13-year-old age gap. It is between Cassio and Gulia. Cassio already has 2 to 3 kids, and he is so much older and more mature than Gulia. Gulia, she is forced to marry Cassio after his wife dies. She doesn't know the circumstances under which his wife dies, but she is willing to make the relationship work. Whereas Cassio, he just wants someone to take care of his kids. That's it. He doesn't want to get emotionally or physically involved with Gulia. But Gulia is not having that, y'all. She's like, you know what? I am here. This is the mafia. So it have no divorce. And so she's like, I'm not having it. I'm going to make this work. And so she wiggles her way into this man's heart. Definitely Cassio sees Gulia as a little girl because she dresses in sunflower dresses. Like, that is her attire. And in his mind, he's like, who's this little girl? Like, what am I supposed to do with her? But they make it work, and it is beautiful. Like, the story and the relationship, it is not an easy one. And definitely Gulia had to fight to get Cassio to acknowledge her, not just acknowledge her role, but acknowledge that he needs her and he wants her and that he's in love with her. And so she has to struggle with these things, but they definitely get there happily ever after. It's not an easy one. Like, this is a really amazing story. There's no set of gore and blood and violence in this mafia romance. As the title says, sweet temptation. So it's more on the softer side and not the action graphic gore blood stuff. We don't get a lot of that in this age gap. So if you're not into that, this is definitely a very good book for you to read. Lessons in Sin, it needs a minute. It needs a minute because this story is amazing. I absolutely love Tinsley and Father Magnus. Tinsley, she is a temptress. She made this man break his vow of celibacy. So let us begin. So what this book is about, Tinsley, she's 18 years old and she has started to become rebellious, and so her mom decides to enroll her in a religious academy. And so the teachers are basically like nuns, and Father Magnus, he's the principal or the headmaster of the school. He's still pretty young to be a priest or a father, so a lot of the girls in the school are very much attracted to him. However, he's able to control himself. Now, Father Magnus did not grow up in the church. Something very traumatic happened, and turning to religion was his way of coping with that, of dealing with that, and so he took a vow of celibacy. Tinsley, being Tinsley, she's like, I want to explore, I want to know things, and so she tempts him into breaking his vow. When everything is blown up in their faces, you're like, what will this man do? Will he return to the church? Is there happily ever after for Tinsley and Father Magnus? Honestly, this book had me so entertained. The tension, the chemistry, the bill was there. When things blew up in their faces, you're like, oh, what are they going to do? Yo, Lord, what are they going to do? But it all worked out in the end. This age gap, this is it. Now, this book should not come as a surprise to anyone, and it is praise. Listen, the age gap is there, but the story I loved. I love that not only was there an age gap between Emerson and Charlotte, but it also has elements of BDSM, and it's not just okay BDSM for BDSM's sake, but it is about praise. It is about praising Charlotte, and Charlotte coming into understanding what she likes, figuring out what she likes, being confident with that, and just coming to terms with her knowing that she likes to be praised and she likes these things, and that nothing is wrong with these things, that she find something that was missing in her life, and now that she has figured that out, she can now embrace things, she can now enjoy things. And I love that Emerson gave that to her. Now, this story begins with Charlotte and Emerson's son going through a breakup, and so she realizes that she needs to get back money. She ends up meeting Emerson, and so she starts to work for him, realizes that he and his friends are into certain things, and so she gets roped into this club. And in doing so, she realizes that Emerson enjoys certain things, and she is on the receiving end of that. At first, she questions what it is that she likes. She questions whether or not she's in her right mind, but she soon realizes that she enjoys these things. Emerson, he is a bit conflicted because this is his son's ex, one. Two, he doesn't have a good relationship with his son. And so when he discovers that, hey, his ex, Charlotte, is in some type of relationship with his dad, I really enjoyed this book. I was surprised that I enjoyed it though, because it is not something that I typically read. I love the gore, I love the violence, I love the adventure, but this was just a contemporary romance with some kinks in it that really surprised me. I highly recommend that you read this book. And I have zero regrets about it. So for me to come on and recommend that you read this book, you know it has to be good. I loved this book. It is a novella, second semester, but oh my goodness, it was so good. Second semester by Q.B.Tyler. It was everything that I hoped it would be. It did not disappoint. This is book 2 in the Campus Tales series, and in this book we meet Serena and Landon, and Serena is totally off limits to Landon because Serena is his best friend's daughter. So Serena, she is into law school. She has just completed her law degree. She's doing an internship in her father's law firm. Mind you, Landon also works in this law firm. And so her father keeps putting up these barriers. She's not getting the experience that she wants from the internship so that she can, go in or start law school with the necessary experience. And so Landon decides to give her the experience. Now, Serena, she is the good girl. She does everything that is expected of her. She doesn't rebel. She sits in her corner and she does what she has to do. But because she is really passionate about law, she takes that opportunity that Landon gives her. But again, Landon has a history, y'all. He has a history for getting involved with people in his law firm. And so one thing leads to another. And so Landon introduces her to a life of pleasure. He introduces her to things that no one has been able to do. He's able to push her buttons. And so she starts to rebel. And in doing so, it creates a serious meltdown between Landon and her father. If the author decides to write a full-length book in this story, I will read it. I really enjoyed this book. The story was written well. The spice was there. The issues was there. I loved that. On top of that, it's a short read. Who gets upset with a short read? Sins of the Orchid. So in this book, we meet Amora and Santino. And Santino, he is going to take over from his dad. His dad is the head of one of the New York Mafia boss. And Amora, her dad, is the head of one of the New York Mafia boss. They meet due to a situation that arises. She develops a really good relationship with his younger brother. Amora's dad and Santino's dad, they strike a contract so that Amora would have to marry his brother. But Amora doesn't like his brother. She is in love with Santino, and she has always been so. In this book, you have many twists and turns in that someone is trying to kill Amora so that they can take over things that she isn't even aware of. Her family on her mother's side is connected with a cartel. And so she, by right, is supposed to inherit that. However, her grandmother is covering for her in a kind of way. When their hand is forced, Santino has to make a decision. Do he continue to beat around the bush and be hesitant about getting into a relationship with Amora? Will Amora settle with her father's choice? Honestly, this book has layers and layers. It has many twists and many turns. But at the end of the day, it's about Santino and Amora and whether or not they can make their relationship work. And therefore, he is willing to fight even if he has to go up against his own brother. So there's a little thing for everyone in here. You have a little BDSM to a little bit of forbidden, as well as you get some brothers' best friends. Like, this age gap is very diverse. And so it's not just the trope age gap. There are also other tropes within this one trope. Chemistry is there, the spice is there, the bantering is there, the sass is there, the build up to what's the main plot, they're all there. Hope you enjoy them. Let me know if you love these recommendations and if you'd like me to do a part 2 in these recommendations. Feel free to subscribe to my channel if you haven't and give this video a thumbs up. Comment down below if you have read these books. I'm sure some of you have read at least one of these books, so let me know which one you read and your thoughts on them. Thank you so much for watching this video, and bye.